Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Merleafys and we are doing a little voiceover today. We are going to be repotting this beautiful bird of paradise into this self-watering pot. I have been obsessed with these. They are so convenient and so easy to use, and I feel like they are very under talked about. But I've just decided to put it in here because I happen to be going on vacation sometime next month. And I was just wanting to make sure my plants are going to be happy and healthy while I'm away. This big girl, I got her about a year ago. She's given me quite a few leaves. She's also killed a couple of leaves because of lack of water. So that is definitely going to be changing now. I am just taking off the pole that I have from behind her because she's a little unstable sometimes, or she goes too forward or too back. So I like to keep that for stability. Then there's a little bit of like a crunchy piece from an old leaf that I'm planning on cutting that right off because honestly, it's bad to have any dead pieces or any dead leaves because that does bring fungus gnats. And let's reduce that as much as possible. Okay, so here I have my soil mixture I'm going to be putting my plant into. I love it, nice and airy, definitely great for aeration. And I'm just going to start by filling the bottom of the planter. I like to fill this about 25% of the way up, just so that I have a good foundation so as the roots grow, they don't go directly into the bottom of the pot to the water. And that's just kind of what I like to do. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people do that, but it just makes more sense to me. Give it a good foundation. Here you can see that I have the bottom filled out, and now it's time to take my bad boy out of the pot. I'm so excited to take her out because I'm very curious on what the roots look like. Um, and I don't have a potting mat big enough, so I just threw that stuff on the table. And now I'm just trying to dig her out. She was a little bit stuck, and I didn't realize her roots had grown so thick, but they did, so it was a pain in the butt taking her out. But her soil was still pretty good, so I ended up using a lot of the same soil and just some of the newer soil just to add a little more nutrients. Look at that big girl. She is so beautiful. Her root system's great. I was really excited about this. I'm just going to plop her in there since I did fill the bottom of the pot with soil. I don't really need to do anything extra or add any more. So now I'm just going to be adding the soil to the top of it just to make sure all of it gets in between those roots to make it nice and stable. Now I'm just adding, to the rim just to make sure to top it off. And here I'm just patting it down so it can fill directly in the bottom of the roots, just to fill under the roots or anything I've missed, any air pockets. And then I'm kind of scrunching the top of the dirt just to give a little more aeration so it dries out faster at the top, just to reduce the fungus gnats. Here I'm just throwing that pole back in there for stability, using a little bit of plant tape. And here she is. She looks beautiful. I can't wait to put her in her section. She's so pretty. I'm so excited about her. Here is this big old Bessie, Monstera Deliciosa. She's phenomenal, but she needs to be repot. So, this was a pain because she is so big and I didn't want to break any of her leaves, so you see me carefully placing her down because I was terrified to break any of her leaves. And here I'm just loosening up the dirt on the top and around it just so I can better pull her out, which was the plan. But here I come to find out that it was a lot harder to pull her out than I thought. She felt root bound, but she wasn't too much root bound, but enough to where she wasn't being able to be pulled out of the pot. Look at that juicy root. Look at her. Just living her best life. Here is where I really began to realize that there was no way I was pulling this baby out and I was going to have to bust her out of this pot. So I went and grabbed some reinforcements, a crusty dusty hammer, and I went ahead and broke that pot open. This was definitely a challenge because I didn't want to break the glass table. So I had to put my hand underneath and then bust the pot open. And it was pretty powerful and loud. So definitely glad I did a voiceover. But yeah, look at that. It was crazy. My boyfriend turned around like, what are you doing? But I couldn't get her out. I had to bust her out of this pot. She was out of control. So this is me just kind of pulling off the pieces, making sure nothing gets on the floor or I don't step on anything. Okay, here I'm trying to pull her out by myself. There is no way in heck I was able to. I tried multiple times. And I didn't want to break the pot anymore because I didn't want any other little pieces anywhere. So I called on my man for some help because it was a struggle. Here I just had him hold the bottom of the pot and I just pulled as much as I could and as hard as I could. I didn't want to break her root system, but I didn't want her to be still in that pot. So here I'm just loosening up the dirt because I didn't want to have all of the dirt confined to her still staying in her root ball. I wanted to get it a little loose. And that's when I just kind of loosened it up as much as I could and then started filling her pot that she was going to go in 25% of the way and popping that bad boy in that pot. Here, I'm just doing what I did with the bird of paradise, just kind of filling back the top and just making sure that she was very secure. And here she is. She's so beautiful. She's going to thrive, especially before springtime. I'm glad I did this to both of them because they definitely needed that little revision.